Round number 5, the final round of the CWA Women's T20 Blaze. Barbados taking on the Leeward Islands here at Warner Park. Snelda Willett and Shakira Selman, the two captains for today. Ladies, final toss. Let's get it going.
Heads, please.
Heads is the call. And it's a tail. Snelda, you want to toss. What you do here first?
Oh, we're going to have a bat first.
A bat first. Any particular reason why?
No, we just did it the last game and it worked for us. It went well in our favour, so we try it again today.
You know, it certainly did, and you can see the progression of the team coming across the last couple of matches. Any changes for today's final game?
Yes, we have one change. Maynard is in and Anthony out.
No problem. I have a good one out there. Sun is a little easy this morning. Shakira, having a bowl first here. How do you feel about that one?
Not too disappointed. It's worked well for us in the last couple of games, so we expect to do it well again.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, round number 5, the final match. There's a possibility that the title could be yours if you guys win here today. Any pressure?
Yes, of course. Like I said last game, it is our profession. Most of us are professional cricketers, so there's always pressure when you're coming out to do your job. But good pressure. We hope to win end the tournament on a high and win the tournament.
Well, ladies, I hope you're ready for the task, ready for the challenge. It's round number 5 time here. Leewards, they've won it, and they're going to have a bat first. Good morning and welcome to the last round of the CWA Women's T20 Blaze. 3 matches taking place today. You're joining us here at Warner Park in beautiful St. Kitts and Nevis for the encounter of the Leeward Islands. They're the home team for today, taking on Barbados. As you just saw, the toss, Leeward Islands, they won it and they opted to bat first, something that they did in the previous 2 rounds, and you would have to say that they've certainly been improving on how things have gone for them in terms of the batting, and they'll be hoping that they can go their way today. Barbados, though, they're sitting on top of the table, a chance to do the double today. If they win, well, that title will be theirs based on what we call the head-to-head, and that simply means that if Guyana were to also win, both teams would end up on 16 points. But given that Barbados defeated Guyana when they played, the title would belong to Barbados. Both teams on your screen at the moment, the 2 skippers, Snelda Willett and Shakira Selman for the Leeward Islands and Barbados. Just one change today for the Leeward Islands, and Barbados going with one change as well for this final match.
Not only the Super 50, but also the T20 play. So, Barbados, of course, will be thinking in terms of getting the better of the Leewards, because they would not have won any match so far in this year's tournament. Either the Super 15 or the 20 Blaze. In fact, the only one they got in the Super 50 was by virtue of a rained-out match. So, although, as you rightly said, the batting for the Leeward Islands has been improving, there's still a lot of work. There's still a lot of work to be done for the Leewards. Quite a lot of work to be done on their fielding and on their bowling. The batting certainly has improved, as you said, Joel.
Shamila Connell will bowl the first ball, and that's the first runs for the Leeward Islands. Melissa Clark and Davernick Maynard opening the batting for the Leeward Islands. An early start here at Warner Park. The earliest start that we've had so far in the competition. 8 a.m. This morning. We're up with the chickens, as they would say.
Of course, we had a bit of rain earlier on, but I don't think it would have affected things here too much. But he is kind of getting some good bounce. That's a good delivery there from Connell. One of the quicker bowlers in the tournament.
Yeah, certainly one of the quicker, if not the quickest that we've seen. Only Sherry-Ann Fraser, to my mind, is around a similar place who plays for Guyana. This is the same surface that we used 2 days ago, and it is a surface that produced over 100 runs in each of the matches. And quite a good batting surface it was. That one should get close to the boundary. In fact, it goes over the ropes. And that's the first boundary for the Leeward Islands.
Yes, useful runs there for the Leewards, getting 4. Maynard. So she gets off the mark with 4. But just to get back to the bowling of Connell, in 4 matches she has taken 5 wickets, averaging 19, and an economy rate of 6. But certainly she has been one of the quicker bowlers, and as you rightly said, Sherry-Ann Fraser, who would have missed quite a bit of the tournament, I suspect, through injury, coming in late into the T20 blaze, no bowling, but she certainly has a good head of steam.
Yeah, it was nice to see Sherry-Ann Fraser in operation, as you mentioned. Coming back from injury, had a chance to bowl in the game a couple days ago. Picked up some wickets as well. Had a chance to speak to her after that match, and she was saying, you know, she was a bit nervous given the fact that she's just been working on her fitness, trying to get herself back out, and having that ball in the hand at the start of the game because she bowled the second over of the day. There was a bit of pressure, a bit of nerves in terms of just wanting to do well, and do well indeed she did.
Yes, certainly. And she certainly would have been strengthening and improving Guyana team, which most people would say that the Guyana team seems to be the most improved team in the tournament. But we have had the completion of the first over of the day, and the Leewards are picking up 6 runs from that over after they opted to bat.
Yeah, certainly a marked improvement for Guyana. Funny enough, a marked improvement, as you can see, probably for a lot of the teams coming across the tournament after we've gotten into the back end of this. We saw performances start to improve coming into round number 3, round number 4, and we're hoping that we see some fantastic performances here in round number 5 as well. The final round of the CWA Women's T20 Blaze.
Connell was the first bowler.
Of course, Joel, we could have probably 4 teams ending up on 12 points today. That, of course, would mean that there will be some sort of upset along the way. Let's say, for example, by some stroke of luck, the Leewards beat Barbados. Barbados would remain on 12 points. And then, of course, Windies on 8, Trinidad and Tobago on 8, they are playing, Jamaica on 8 also.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that is a fantastic shot, straight back down the ground. That's going to get her confidence going.
Oh yes, a wonderful shot indeed, straight back down to the long off boundary for 4. So, Joel, of course, there's a probability that we can have 4 teams ending on 12 points today. Although we don't expect that to happen, but there's still that probability.
Well, I think it's certainly possible in cricket. Oh, well, a boundary and then a wicket. Shanika Bruce gets the breakthrough.
Yes, that one, she carried it back up to Maynard, who was driving. Previously, she got over one and drove it all along the ground. This time, she seems to be flat-footed, not really moving into the drive, and they hit it straight down the throat of mid-off, and the catch was easily taken, and Leewards losing their first wicket. So Calendar at mid-off taking that catch off the bowling of Bruce, and Leewards now 10 for 1 in over number 2.
As you would call it, a regulation catch there. Being taken at mid-off. The first wicket goes down. It's 10 for 1.
Slight overcast once more, but we are hoping that the weather stays fine. I think looking at some forecasts, suggest rain for today. In fact, I'm detecting a slight drizzle, but probably my glasses might need a bit of changing, so I might not be seeing too well.
Divya Saxena is the new batter, and she's off the mark immediately. She's been a good find and a bright spark for the Leeward Islands, Saxena.
Yes, certainly she,
Come on,
as you rightly said, she would have been one of the better batters. She would have so far scored some 76 runs in the T20 Blaze with a top score of 37. Average kind of low 19. Of course, she would have scored some top score 44 in the Super 50. So she has been one of the batters for the Leewards who would have gotten some runs.
Yeah, that 37 that you mentioned came in the last game versus Trinidad and Tobago Red Forest Divas. It was part of the reason that we were able to get it at 120 in the 20 overs. Batting on this very pitch, and she'll be hoping that she can get that plus more. Clark to face now. That's going to take some chasing. Probably won't make it to the boundary, but should get to quite easily.
Leewards, though, they certainly they have started positively. They won the toss. They opted to bat, despite the fact that they would have lost the wicket of Maynard. They certainly have started positively, and they are looking to play shots. But what they need to do also is try and pick up singles.
This start, in fact, similar to how we've seen them play across the 2 games before this. 2 overs bowled. It's 15 for 1. I remember being at the toss 2 games ago in round number 3, and I remember the words of the skipper, Sinelda Willett, being that the team started to gel a lot better, and it was almost as if the conversation that they had coming into that match kind of reinvigorated them and gave them a purpose and gave them a cause. That's not to say they didn't have it before, but it seemed to be something different, and it seems to have lit a spark in the Leeward Islands, because the performances since then, especially with the bat, have been fantastic, and you're seeing that here in terms of the start again. Even though just that one wicket being lost, it has been intent, it's been positive, and I would certainly love to see it continue across this innings.
Connell from the fine, and of course, you know, there seems to be a lot there to work with for the Leewards, and probably one never knows with some hard work. But the basic problem, though, is that there's not enough female cricket. In fact, there's not enough cricket being played around the Leewards. So it's very difficult for players going into tournament to get good exposure, and more times than not, you find it's coming towards the back end of the tournament when teams begin to gel and begin to play a lot better because of the fact that they would have had some time out there in the middle.
Well, you mentioned the fact there is something to work with, and again, definitely agree there because we've seen some individual moments of brilliance from the Leeward Islands, and for me, I just think it's a case of it's not been collective in the sense of more players haven't stood up at the same time. Had that happened, I'm pretty sure that they would have been able to register some points on the board across what would have been the Super 50 and the T20 plays. Still points on offer here today, though.
Well, Leewards would be thinking that they could use a quick single, and this is what I was speaking about earlier on, trying to put pressure on the fielders, trying to pick up singles, and not just looking for the boundary balls, but certainly Leewards. There seems to be some confidence in their play, especially when they bat.
We're into over number 3. 6 overs constitute the power play. 2 fielders out, being third man and fine leg for Connell. And another dart outside of that off stump to complete 3. It's 16 for 1.
Yes, so 16 for 1. And Leewards, over the last few matches, they certainly would have started well. They would have started in the power play going at about 5 to 6 runs for over. But they, you know, coming towards the latter part of the innings, in most instances, they seem to have tailed off a bit. Well, the last match, of course, we saw Claxton picking up things a bit and propelling them to a score of 125 or 125 from their 20 overs in the last match, a match which they still ended up losing.
The outstretched arms of the umpire on that occasion.
Umpire Caroline Brown, of course, the other umpire in this match being Ryan Banwari. But that was really pretty wide down the leg side, so the batters quickly seized the opportunity to go through for a run also, as the keeper, Knight, fumbled a bit.
Yeah, certainly would have been a challenging take going down the leg side. A bit of movement as well here for Shanika Bruce. You certainly expect that. 1, given the early start. 2, a new ball in hand. And we've seen a lot of movement here at Warner Park as well, especially when it's been the hands of Alison Gordon, who they have not opted to start with this morning.
Of course, there's a bit of cloud cover, not directly overhead, but there's some clouds around, so that, of course, might contribute to some slight movement. But despite the early morning showers, the conditions still pretty good for playing cricket. And certainly it's not the norm for matches to be starting at 8 o'clock.
Certainly not the norm indeed. And Barbados will be hoping that this is not the norm for Shanika Bruce. Another white signaled by the umpire. I mentioned that Barbados have opted usually to start with Alison Gordon. And the reason why they've not started with her today is because she's that change that I mentioned at the start of this morning. She's in fact not playing here today. Shanika Bruce gets another opportunity in this tournament. Oh, and it goes over the head of a mid-off and into the boundary. Good looking shot for Melissa Clark.
Yes, a wonderful shot indeed. She played it with a straight bat and back over the head and down to the straight long off boundary for 4. Certainly not looking to hit it hard, but preferring to time it, and she timed it well, and the ball raced away. So pretty good shot indeed there by Clark.
Again, just a touch fuller is Bruce, and probably in terms of where she wants to be, is either going to be directly there, just probably just fractionally short of where that Yorker length is, given the movement that she's getting back into the bat, hoping that one can sneak through bat and pad from Melissa Clark. Or probably just fractionally back of a length. She was just in what we call that hitting zone.
Yeah,
that ball that was struck back down the ground.
And Clark is looking to drive, so as you say, back of a length. In fact, that is a delivery which got her first wicket, the wicket of Maynard. Maynard, of course, was looking to play to the offside. She was looking to drive, and delivery just back of a length proved to be her undoing. So Clark, who has been driving through the offside, she could be a candidate. Here's the drive again, but it's a good one.
Yeah, good connection for her. Make that 2 boundaries in the over.
Yes, it was in the slot, as we would say, and she was going over extra cover this time, making full use of the power play, and the ball racing down to the boundary for 4. And now we just have the fine leg back on the boundary. There's a long off on the boundary now. And the field has been brought in, Connell has been brought inside the 25-yard circle. Another wide.
Yeah, just struggling here quite a bit. Shanika Bruce, in terms of unable to really get what we consider that consistent line and length at the start. 1 delivery left in this over, which has been quite a lengthy one so far.
He was, of course, going at a good clip. Quite noticeably, they've gone up to 30 for 1 in 4 overs and going over 7 runs for over at the start. So this has been a good start by the Leewards.
Yeah, fantastic start for them. I mentioned the fact that we've seen this coming across the last 2 rounds, helped by a couple extras, but certainly intent is there. And this is what St. Willett would have wanted to happen, having won the toss and opted to bat. Shamilia Connell gets another one. And she's been able to just beat Clark outside of that off stump. And it's almost because she doesn't necessarily get her body across to the ball. There's a chance of that outside edge for her outside of that off stump. Once again, a fantastic delivery. This one just a little closer now in terms of the line of it. And she's really challenging that outside edge of Clark at the moment. You would have to say into what is a very good spell here, Connell. Just 7 runs coming from the 2.2 overs that she's bowled so far. Barbados will be hoping that she picked up a wicket. She picked up 3 in the game before this.
She's getting good bounce and good carry to the keeper.
On the pads this time, but still no run.
So this has been a very good over so far by Connell. She certainly has defeated the batter Clark, going past the outside edge a couple of occasions.
Height the question on that occasion is scamper 1. Keela Elliott doing the work, unable to effect the run out. And that goes back to the bounce that you mentioned that Connell is getting off of this surface. And it's also because of that height that she has, really kisses the deck.
Leewards, though, they're looking for singles. They're running aggressively at the moment, and they seize the opportunity there to pick up a quick single.
Well, Saxena with a big offer on that occasion, unable to make the connection. Going for all power on that occasion. Just one delivery left in this call over. 1 run from it so far. The quietest over we've had of the innings. A single to close out number 5. It's a 32 for 1.
Yes, 32 for 1. And Leewards getting off to a very good start. The scoring rate is good. And they've just lost the 1 wicket in the first 5 overs. So a pretty good start indeed.
Just 1 over left now in the power play. And given how expensive Shanika Bruce was in that over before this, we would have expected to see a change. And it looks to be the skipper, Shakira Selman, who might bring herself into the attack now. Selman just picked up the 1 wicket in the game before this versus the Windward Islands. 1 for 22 were her figures from 3. Had a no ball problem in that game as well. Bowling from this very media center end. Maybe had about 5 or, yeah, probably about 4 or 5 no balls in that innings. She'll be hoping to correct that here this morning.
Yes, good morning, Joel. And Leewards with a very brilliant start this morning. They have been playing shots, they have been looking to score, and it's really following on from the previous game that they had. And we'll see how they continue to go against Salman. And you did say that she would have had a no ball problem, and we see her looking to iron out her run up very early this morning. And with the over that went before from Shanika Bruce with a number of wides, she can ill afford to give extras, give no balls away. And one would hope, for her sake and for her team's sake, that she would get it right today.
Well, we're about to see, here's the first ball from Selman. She's going to have to restart it. A bit of a chuckle from her. I saw her yawning at the toss. And that's because of this early start that we have here at Warner Park. Quite possibly the earliest start we've maybe had in a T20 match. I dare say for a very long time, if ever. 8 a.m. Was the start. Teams had to probably depart the hotel. Let's say about 7:37. Sorry, 6:30.
Yeah.
6:45. I do know that teams playing at St. Paul's are departing at roughly 6 o'clock this morning.
Yes, early start it is. And let's see how early Salman could make any inroads for the Leewards. You did mention about the early start, and we also had some overnight showers as well. I would want to think the ladies would have rested well. Most people enjoy rest when it's raining, and I would have also seen, Joel, that there would have been persons using the towel, which would suggest there's still some moisture on the grass, and maybe it would have been one of the issues that Bruce would have had during her spell.
You mentioned just maybe a bit of moisture out there, and in fact I can confirm that because I had a chance to just run my hands across the grass this morning, and yeah, quite a few showers this morning. Even here at the ground, the rain was still drizzling while the teams were warming up. Not too much sun just yet to dry things out, so probably that ball picking up some moisture as it runs along the turf as well.
Yes, and that has a number. That plays a number of roles in the game. It softens the ball a bit, and sometimes it affects what the bowlers can do. As well as for batters, if it's not a hard ball, it doesn't disappear as quickly. So there are a number of factors that come to bear when the moisture takes effect on the ball. But Selman has started, I would say, fairly good thus far.
Yeah, she certainly has. The only thing better would have been if she picked up a wicket. No runs from it so far.
One of the things that Leewards have been scoring from boundaries, and they would want to try to rotate the strike, not allow too many dot balls. There is Saxena clipping that one down to deep backward square, finally comes around and hurls a really good throw back to the keeper. I would have gotten Saxena somewhere. One is hoping that she's not hurt, but they picked up 2 runs.
Yeah, good 2 there. And this is the difference in terms of I enjoy when Saxena is looking to time the ball. I enjoy the innings that she played in the last one versus Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas. And at the start, she was kind of guilty of doing something similar to what she did here also in terms of trying to really impose herself on the opposition and have a swing or 2 at it. And she realized that she missed quite a few deliveries going for the power. But when she's timing it, she's fantastic.
That's correct. And there you see her going for power again.
Yeah, it was just interesting to see, you know, the changes in her innings. She missed quite a few deliveries, mistimed them as well. Just that bottom hand came into play quite often. Let's say probably the first 7-8 deliveries that she was playing versus Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas. Opted to take a different approach in terms of letting that ball come to her, timing it nicely, using the wrist work, picking up those tools, getting the boundaries as well, and really switched the gears as she batted versus Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas. And it was nice to see her in operation. It was nice to see when she got that 44 as well. She's really a good-looking batter out there. 34 for 1 at the end of the power play.
Yes, 6 overs gone. It's 34 for 1. And I agree with you as it pertains to Saxena. When she times the ball, is a much better-looking player, and it's more productive for her. It's more effective. And the bowling thus far has been, I would say, in between. It's not been good. It's not been horrible. But I think Saxena would do herself justice to look to work the ball around at this stage with the good start I think that the Leeward Islands have had thus far. And we have a bowling change in Elliott, the right arm leg spinner, coming into play. And this is where I think it could be a test for Clark to see if she would continue to be aggressive or would just look to rotate strike at this time.
Well, as you know, 3 games going on here. And round number 5, a quick look over at Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas versus Guyana. Guyana the other side at the top of the table. Well, they're currently 15 for 4 versus Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas. Yeah, looking for the possibility of a title. Guyana, not the start they would have been hoping for. 3 ducks at the top of their batting card. The crease, though, the captain, Shemaine Campbell, who's been doing well for them. She's there on 13 not out, Shemaine Campbell.
Yeah, not the start Guyana would be looking for. They'd want to be on top of that game, but it's not over yet. They would want to rebuild and see what they could do. Leeward Islands here with
This could be another one down for them. An easy catch for Connell. And Elliott, she strikes with her 3rd delivery.
Yes, she did. And I did mention if Clark would be looking to rotate strike or continue to look for boundaries. That one, I'm uncertain what she was trying to do. She just looped it up to mid-off to Connell, and it was really catching practice for her. But she was enticed by Elliott. She floated that one up. She wasn't afraid to give it some air. And I asked Clark to hit. And she didn't hit very well, and she perished.
Yeah, she has to take that walk back to pavilion. She goes for 13. It's 34 for 2.
34 for 2. Leeward Islands losing their 2nd wicket in 6.2 overs. Not a bad start, but they really would ill afford to start losing wickets here. And Elliott in operation, I think it's a good bowler she is. One who has a number of variations. She even has the googly, and well, she's been well supported by her captain to me with the field that is set. Not too many boundary riders just yet, even though this is the end of the power play and she can use protection. That's either confidence and confidence by the captain and confidence in her control as well.
Well, it looks to be Amanda Edwards that's strode out to the crease. The vice captain for the Leeward Islands. You're going to need a good knock from her. She was a part of a partnership in the last game versus Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas. And she's off the mark immediately. We got 26 in that game. 26 from 31. 26 would do herself well again here today, plus more if she can get off quite well in that partnership. Funny enough, was with Divya Saxena as well. The partnership between them was 51 in that game versus Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas. Came when the score was 14 for 2. And now here at 35 for 2.
A much better platform for both of them to build on.
Well, Saxena will be wondering. She was unable to take advantage of that one. You might consider that to be a slow, loopy full toss.
Yeah, she missed out. She could have hit that in between mid-wicket and backward square, but she still there. Getting another bad delivery, but manages to...
A bit of a collision there. And we do hope that Saxena is not badly injured in that one. She scampered one, and it looks as if the ball might have taken her on the lower back as she was trying to just get into the crease. She's up on her feet, though. That's a good sign. And it's the end of 7, 36 for 2.
36 for 2, and a successful over by Elliott, producing a wicket and just 2 runs. And Leeward with the bright start would see if they can build on it. I think they have slowed down a bit. At one point, the run rate was over 7, going on 8. It's now just 5.4. And slowing things down a bit is Barbados.
Yeah, they certainly are. That last over coming out of the power play, it was a good one for Elliott. Kept things tight, picked up the wicket as well to break that partnership. Selman will be hoping that she can continue where she left off in her first over. Just 2 runs coming from it. Applying the brakes at the moment to the Leeward Islands, but still looking at that score, we'd have to see a decent start for them. And if they can carry on, they can set themselves up for something similar to what they got in round number 4. On the pads and heading down the leg side.
I think, Joel, one of the features of Salman thus far is that she's managed to take the ball consistently up to the batters, asking them to drive. And sometimes getting in that in-between length and asking them to defend as well. So I don't think there have been any freebies and easy chances to score thus far in Salman's spell. And there she is again, using some confidence, bringing the mid-off up, which was at long on.
Some good aggression, some good fast bowling aggression from Selman, collecting it and having a throw back at the stumps, so letting Amanda Edwards know she needs to find herself back into that crease. Just the one from it, and we're outside the power play over, so a maximum of 4 can be outside of that 25-yard circle. She's gone with the protection heavily on that leg side, with a whitish fine leg, a deep mid-wicket, and long on, back on the boundary on the leg side.
I think the reason for that, Joel, in the last game, Amanda Edwards would have scored a number of boundaries to the long on mid-wicket area, and Barbados has done their homework on Edwards and saying to her, we're not going to give you freebies there, you're going to have to get those runs probably through the offside today. And I think that would also aid in slowing down Amanda Edwards in this innings. But I would say good thinking thus far by Barbados.
Long off comes into play now. Yeah, just interesting to see the manipulation of the field at the moment to both batters. And as you mentioned, it's just a case of doing that homework ahead of the game. In fact, these players do know each other quite well. So for Amanda Edwards, there's a mid-off and a third man. For Divya Saxena, third man is inside his circle, long off back on the boundary.
Yep. Making the changes to the different players. Bit of a misfield. They have turned for 2. Looking for 3. And they get the 3. A misfield. They really should have just had 1, Joel. And there was a misfield that cost Barbados 2 runs.
Yeah, just a little lapse in concentration, you would have to say. They haven't seen too much of it this morning. Quite possibly the first misfield for them.
Leeward Islands 42 for 2 in 7.5 overs. Been slowed down just a bit here by Barbados.
Tries to get cute on that occasion, but can't get it to the right of a third man. 8 overs bowled. It's 42 for 2.
Yes, Saxena on 10 and Edwards on 5. Leeward Islands progressing nicely. Barbados putting the brakes on Leewards, who had a run rate of a bit over 7 at one point in the first 5 overs. But in the last 3 overs, we could see Elliott and Selman putting the brakes on the Leeward Islands. And Edwards, who also picked up a wicket in the last over, she's going to continue.
Just short of Connell, who took that catch to send Clark back into the pavilion.
Something I recognize here, though, Joel, Elliott is intent on floating the ball up to these batters, inviting them to hit, saying, hey, you could try hitting me over the top. Let's see what goes.
And that's going to be a no ball, signaled by the umpire. And Elliott had 1 or 2 of these in a game before, and it was where the back foot was cutting that side line. I'm not sure if it was that occasion that she was guilty of that or whether or not it was a front foot no ball. And she makes no use of the free hit.
Yeah, it's not a usual thing to see spinners, bowling no balls. But she erred on that occasion. But Edwards also missed out on the free hit. Another short delivery, and she's hitting that one down to mid-off. And Connell is in attendance. And one of the things that we would have observed in the early part of the tournament, Joel, is that Edwards would have been taking quite a bit of deliveries to get going. But here she is thumping that one to extra cover, picking up 4. I guess, again, she heard me so far. And taking Leeward Islands on to 47 for 2 from 8.3 overs.
Yeah, give us some air on that occasion. And just outside the off stump as well for Amanda Edwards. Just needed to find that gap in the ring of fielders on the offside. Did just that. And that now takes her up to 9.
I think the adjustment that Elliott would need to make was to keep those flighted deliveries in between.
Well, she finds that gap again. Make it 2 from 2. Back to back, a double delight for her.
Yes, another good shot. I think this one was even a better shot, hitting it all along the ground. But the point I'm making for Elliott, though, the adjustment that she might need to make would be to bring that flight in between wicket and wicket and see how the batters would handle those flighted deliveries spinning away, as opposed to what she's doing presently is just a little wide of the off stump, giving them room to free their hands.
Well, that prompts a change in the field. Cover goes back onto the boundary now. Well, a dot ball it is to close out what was an expensive over from Elliott. 9 in it. It's 51 for 2.
Yes, Leeward bringing up the 50 in the 9th over. Edwards doing well, profiting from 2 really well-struck boundaries and building a quiet partnership so far here with Saxena. And she has moved past Saxena on 13, and Saxena is still on 10. And Barbados will have something to think about from that over. I think they kept the cover up just a touch too long, trying to exert some pressure on the Leeward Islands. But Selman, who has bowled well thus far, she will continue.
Looking at scores around the other grounds, St. Paul's and Connery. Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas taking on Guyana at St. Paul's. Guyana now 22 for 5. And Jamaica versus the Windward Islands. Jamaica, they're 58 for 1 after 10. So some interesting scores going around the games here in round number 5 of the CWA Women's T20 Blaze. All the games started at 8 a.m. this morning. Rotation of strike has been good so far for the Leeward Islands. It's been a feature that has crept into their game, given that I remember the conversations, especially going across the Super 50 in the earlier matches of this T20 Blaze, being that not necessarily capitalizing on moments where they could have gotten singles in addition to the boundaries that they're already collecting. So good sign so far for the Leeward Islands. Can they kick on? Can they carry it through?
Yes, it is an improvement. One of our fellow commentators would have said at one point that they were managing to turn 3s into 1s. But they have been better. It's an improvement in the game, which says that they're learning as the tournaments have progressed across the Super 50 and across the T20 Blaze. And there we saw another quick single taken. It just shows that the challenge that I think the Leeward Islands do have is that they don't play enough cricket, and this tournament has offered exposure for them, and as they have played, they have learned, they have improved in certain aspects of their game.
Will just be one on that occasion, but certainly marked improvement, you would have to say, as you mentioned, for them. We're approaching the halfway stage of this innings. Just 2 deliveries left until we get to the 10th. In fact, the end of the 10th over here. And Selman across her spell has managed to accumulate quite a few dot balls. And she will be happy with that so far. Happy as well that she's managed to keep that front foot behind the line. Really had a lot of issues with that run-up in the last game. Given her experience, though, quickly able to sort that out. 1 ball left now in this over. Work for Leah Aline at long on. So the halfway stage, it's a 55 for 2.
55 for 2. Leeward Islands progressing nicely, making a good start to this encounter. Much like the last game that they played against the Trinidad Red Force Divas, where I think they would have gotten to just about 50 runs over the 10 overs. And the challenge here, or the move for the Leewards, would really be how well can they kick on, press on, and build on this really good start that they've had, and to really force or put some pressure on a really good Barbados unit. Very professional generally in the approach to playing the game. Leeward Islands, who batted well against Trinidad, would not have done themselves any justice by their approach in the field, and one would hope that they will continue batting well and really put some pressure on the Barbados team and see if they could eke out some points here. And that really, Smitten, could be something that we can look for as Guyana are struggling against Trinidad there in St. Paul's.
Well, as you said, that match is far from over. And if Guyana could struggle, Trinidad could struggle too, but 5 wickets down over there, but the match a long way to go yet. But I think the Leewards, the biggest challenge though is in the field, and they're now 55 for 2. The last match they were able to get 225, and but they gave away what would have been a slight advantage as we look at the view there from the Birdwalk area, and rather picturesque. The hill there in the background. Now we're looking at the Bastille Harbour, and but certainly, Noval, I think the Leewards' biggest challenge, certainly they have improved considerably in their batting, but I think their biggest challenge would be when they get into the field, whether or not they could tighten up on their fielding and make less errors in the field.
Yes, it's really for the Leewards have been a game of two halves. How well they bat, and they have been doing better with the batting, but haven't been backing themselves up in the field. But we do have a change in bowling.
So,
We lost slow, come on. We pick it up.
it's Mez, Herbert Mez, Tiana Herbert Mez, who comes into the attack. Looks like she's bowling right arm off spin. Rather peculiar action, but that one beats Edwards. Went between the leg stump and the pads of Edwards and beat the keeper, Kaisi Knight, and ran down to fine leg for a single, but some turn there.
Yes, and one thing again, just creeping back into the Leewards, that should have been a minimum of 2 runs, potentially 3. Saxena was in her crease really early, and Clark just turned her back on her. I mean, they have to capitalize on every opportunity there is Saxena hitting that one out to deep mid-wicket.
So Leewards, and perhaps one of the shortcomings of the Leeward Islands team too might be the level of fitness, and that might be the reason why. He's one hoiked into the eighth, goes out to mid-wicket. The catch is taken by Kishona Knight, and Edwards is on away. Leewards losing their 3rd wicket. It's now 57 for 3 in over number 11.
Yes, the delivery just about on middle and leg, and Edwards was looking to hit it out into deep mid-wicket. Only found the safe hands of Knight, and she departs for 15. And Barbados making further inroads, and it seems like every time Barbados makes a change in bowling, that bowler has been able to pick up a wicket, and it's seemingly coming from that Lozak Road end. Every time it was Elliott, and then now it's Mears who bowling off spin, and you spoke about how peculiar her action is, and for me, I know that would have been playing on my mind a bit, throwing me off just slightly, but that's the advantage that bowlers have. But what I recognize though, she's getting turned, and she's looking fairly accurate thus far.
Yes, certainly, yeah. We saw one beating the batter earlier in the innings for turn, and beating the keeper also and going down to fine leg. for a run. So Herbert May is starting well and picking up a wicket in the first over. So it's now 57 for 3, Leewards. And Barbados has really fought back well. The Leewards started well, but now they at this stage you could safely say that they're struggling. The current run rate is 5.3. But here is one. Claxton is the batter, pushing into the offside, and she can't score.
This will test the mettle of the Leeward Islands and see how well they can rebuild this batting unit. Jazara, Claxton, and Saxena, who batted well in the previous game, would want to continue to see how well they could rebuild this Leeward Islands inning. Bring them out the end of the 11th over. The Leeward Islands 57 for 3.
Very good over there by Tiani. Herbert Mills just seeing one run and picking up the wicket of Edwards. So Barbados really tightening the screws, and not surprisingly, well, we're going to have a change from the media center end. And I would have thought that Lee was struggling a bit with the spin. We might have seen another spin bowler at this juncture, but the captain opting to go back to I think it's Bruce? No, Calendar. Calendar comes into the attack from this end, and she's bowling right arm, medium fast. So Leewards are struggling at this point. At one point, they were going at 7 runs per over inside the power play. Oh my goodness, this one is really wide. And probably coming pretty close to being called a no ball. That one.
Yeah, it was very much off the surface. And Calendar would want to settle herself down and just try and get the ball on spot. I don't think she's under much pressure at this time. The captain in Selman and Elliott were able to stem the flow of runs for a bit, and also Mayers coming into the attack, and she would want to just continue what has been going on. But Saxena clipping that one just back with a square and picking up a single.
It would be interesting though to have a look at that first delivery again. Certainly it seemed to pass, you know, it was bowled very close to the perimeter of the cut strip, but umpire signal wide and force. If it's delivered outside the cut strip, it would be called a no ball. But Calendar once more. This one is wide again. Very wide of the off stump to the left-handed Claxton. And Claxton does not have to play a shot. Just the wide signal. So she's having a bit of problem controlling.
Yes, she is. Pushing the deliveries a bit too wide, and would want to just adjust that a bit.
Then, of course, she had the rotation in strike, but here's one beating Connell, probably getting a bad bounce. And allowing a single as the ball went past at extra cover.
Well, I'm looking at Calendar and the way she's holding the delivery, the ball. She's not putting her fingers directly behind it. It's almost as if she's trying to bowl the ball just from the side of her hand. And we'll look at it again as she is about to bowl this delivery.
This one is a better one, though. And well, in fact, they're back. Saxena driving and looking for runs, slipping and falling, but was able to regain the ground.
Much better delivery, full, just about where you'd want to be bowling. And I'm still monitoring that action.
This one is another wide. This one.
She pulled that one just wide. But it's all adding to the Leewards' cause. You were just mentioning that they were struggling. I wouldn't have said that they were struggling in my mind. They were slowed down a bit, and then they lost the wicket. But these extras are helping the situation. It's now 62 for 3.
This one is short. And Saxena gets on late, perhaps thinking in terms of pulling initially. It was over the center stump too, not gaining as much height as Saxena might have anticipated. And in the end, she pulled out and allowed it through. But Barbados, of course, looking to pick up wickets here, as this one is punched out to Kishona Knight at cover.
Jesus.
And a single is taken. So Saxena is on 16, Claxton on 1. And of course, Noval, I don't think Leewards could be comfortable with any score below 130. And for that reason, this is a good shot though. Well played out towards extra cover to the right of mid-off and to the left of Connell, who's at extra cover and down to the boundary for 4. Wonderful shot indeed.
Yeah, it was Claxton getting one pitched up, and she latched onto it and thumped it through extra cover for 4. And she would have played a really good inning in the previous match, getting to 36, I think. And she really would have helped the Leewards' cause in the last game. Coming in at, I would say, on a good platform with just about 9 overs to go. She has an opportunity to build an inning and to push Leewards to a good score. You said 130 would be a good score for the Leewards. Not many teams have gotten to that, but based on how the Leewards go about their business in the field, they would want to get as many runs as possible.
Well, for that reason, that same reason why I said that and they need to get at least 130. They need a bit of a cushion. They certainly tend to give away a lot of runs in the field, not only with fielding lapses, but we have seen a number of wides being delivered by the bowlers. In fact, in the last match, they would have had in excess of 2 overs in terms of wides. So they certainly would be hoping to get some form of a cushion in terms of getting a fairly good score.
Yes, and Nails bowling that one, Jazao driving, picking up one, not fielded cleanly. It appears to be Salman there. But Leeward Islands rotating the strike, and it's critical at this time that they continue to tick over. Barbados thus far has been guilty of giving away some 10 extras already. Most of them would be coming via wides. I think it was 1 no ball. But here is Herbert. There's Saxena just punching out to extra cover. So the extras playing a big role thus far in this game. Barbados they have not been disciplined at all, and they would need to improve, but Leeward's benefiting from that.
Yeah, so Herbert Mears is being driven up to Knight by Saxena for a single. But of course, Leewards, as we keep saying, as we've been saying for the last couple of matches, the batting certainly has improved, and you know, this should give them some sort of impetus when they go into the field, and you know, it's something to encourage them to try and do a lot better in the field. Of course, you bat well, you put a good score on the board, and then you undo the good work by fielding badly and losing, taking on the pad without appeal. And a chance of a run out, that one if it had struck, well, Claxton would have been on the way. So a bit of a mix-up there by the two batters for the Leewards, but in the end, the Barbados team ruined the fact that they return there. Would have missed the stumps. The return there by the captain, it seems, Selman. The non-strikers and missed it completely. And had that struck, Claxton could have been on the way.
Yes, it was a bit of a mix-up, but here is Saxena pushing up to the wicket, where there's no run.
Over.
So, over number...
Just a bit of information on one of the other games that's played in St. Paul's. It's Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas against Guyana. The Guyana women are really struggling. 32 for 7 from 14.3 overs. In the game with Jamaica and the Windies, Jamaica 75 for 2 from some 14.1. So some interesting happenings are going on here. Earl and the Leeward Islands are presently 71 for 3.
Yes, that's certainly not a position that Guyana would have hoped for at this point. 7 wickets down, they have not reached 50 as yet. And of course, coming into this round of matches, Guyana being one of the contenders to win this year's tournament. So they're off to a very poor start there. And they would have to do a lot of work to retrieve that situation there. Leewards doing pretty well here against Barbados. They have a good score here. Is another run down to Cumberbatch. Cumberbatch fumbling a bit. And the batter's in there and through. Now we see Selman asking Cumberbatch to go right back on the long on boundary. So we have long on mid-wicket and the backward square. And in fact, cover
Simple things, come on.
Going into a sweeping position. So those are the fielders saving runs. But this one is played up to mid-wicket for a single by Saxena. So 72 for 3.
Yes, and that's also a no ball by Elliott. She's guilty for a second time, bowling no balls. And earlier we were looking to see if she would have been hitting the popping crease, but we don't know if she overstepped. Either way, it's a free hit for the Leewards, taking their tally up to 74 for 3.
Well, in fact, the no ball that was bowled previously, the Leewards got a free hit, but they didn't capitalize on that free hit. And let's see what would happen here as Elliott would go into bowl to Claxton. And she's back and banging it out towards extra cover. Cover moves to her left and just a single. So Lee was not really capitalizing on that free hit.
Well, I don't think they were allowed to. The delivery wasn't a bad one. Jazara gave herself a touch of room, looking to hit it into the extra cover gap. But the fielder from cover came around quickly when it was able to prevent a boundary.
Another no ball, as this one is banged down to Cumberbatch, who comes off the long off boundary. And once more there's a free hit. And once more, Claxton is on the receiving end of a free hit. Should I say, the bowler, Elliott, is on the receiving end of a free hit. And Claxton presented with another opportunity to capitalize on free hit. Of course, batter can't get out, so they could throw the kitchen sink at this delivery, and let's see what would happen with this particular delivery. Tossed up, and she's swinging and missing. So the free hit just bringing the extra run for the Leewards, but has not been able to capitalize on the third free hit.
Yeah, Elliott erring for a second time in this over. And that one hit back to her. She wasn't able to cut it off.
Well, in fact, it seems to have been in the air for some time. That looked pretty much to have been a catch to me. But might have dropped just in front of Elliott, but it appeared to have gotten back to her on the full. But very difficult to tell.
There was no excitement from the fielders, and that sometimes says something.
But he's a good shot, though.
Sweeping down to backward square, they turn for 1, and they come back for 2.
It's 2 more to the score.
Well, I might dare say that at this stage, at 80 for 3 from 14, 13.5, that is, Leewards would want to try and start picking up some boundaries. They're turning the strike over okay, but they want to get 1 or 2 boundaries in between to kind of move the score on.
Here's a quick single. The return is good. The stumps are broken. But it seems as though Claxton would have gotten home. And umpire Banwari not raising that dreaded finger. In fact, he just goes to the stumps to make the necessary repair. In fact, that's the end of over number 14. But Noval, what you would have noticed in the last game for Leewards, they didn't wait until probably the last 2 or 3 overs to try and up the tempo. And they certainly had wickets in hand at that point. And I think Leewards would have left a few runs out there in their last outing. And with just 3 wickets down, we are into over number 15. And I think, as you rightly said, this is the point. I think they should be trying to up the tempo a bit.
White ball.
Yes, the Barbados have been able to slow things down during the last, I would say, 4 to 5 overs, and not giving away any boundaries. And Leeward would want to not get themselves a bit too much tied down, keep the strike rotating, but in between, you need to find a boundary. The suggestion in this form of the game is sometimes to try and get the boundary early in the over, which puts pressure on the bowler. But to be fair, I think Barbados haven't been giving much away. Outside of the extras that have come off of Elliott, they haven't been really giving boundary balls away.
They have been giving boundary balls away, but at the same time, the Leeward Island batters, they're not making any attempt to go after the Barbados bowling. And sometimes the batters do have to make their runs. They have to, as this one is pulled into the onside, they would have to go after the bowling. And with wickets in hand in over number 15, you cannot just let the bowlers bowl to you. We have not seen much use of the feet, for example, from the Leeward Island batters. And this is perhaps another one of the shortcomings of the Leeward Islands team. They're just standing and delivering, which is not really working well for them.
And general.
Right, well, to be fair, there are not a lot of deliveries tossed up. For instance, Mayor's is a lot flatter. And there is Jazar hitting into the gap, and that's 4. Hitting into the gap. That one pitching just about middle and leg. And she was invited to hit, and she took the opportunity, and she swung it just in front forward of square, and she got 4 runs. And just as we were talking about picking up the tempo, she took that invitation and got 4 runs.
Well, there's no reward. There's no reward unless you take risk, and she took a bit of a risk there, and she just kept her eye on the ball and struck it well. And this is what I'm speaking about. They need to try and go after the bowling. And not allow themselves to be sitting ducks out there. The bowling is good, yes, but the batters are not looking to get after the bowling. But as you rightly said, Claxton did play an aggressive shot that time, and she was well rewarded. Now here we go, she's out. This was a poor delivery. In fact, over-pitched, and she was looking to drive it into the offside. The ball took the bottom portion of the bat, perhaps taking an edge, a thick edge, and lobbing up to Selman, who is at extra cover. And Claxton is on the way caught. Not really timing that one, and not really putting away a bad delivery.
Well, the Leeward Islands 87 for 4 as Jazara makes her way out from the middle. I'll be making my way out of this position, and the next voice you'll hear would be the voice of Joel Manners.
So Barbados picking up their 4th wicket, and we have had some 15 overs completed, another 5 overs to go, and probably Leewards losing a wicket at a juncture when they would have been thinking in terms of pressing on and having 2 set batters there. So not a wicket they would have liked to have lost at this point. As I welcome back Joel, but Joel, rather interestingly this morning, I saw you out there in the middle, and I got the impression that you have been practicing some limbo dancing. I saw you trying to get away from a ball, and certainly you showed a bit of skill, if I may say.
Yeah, I certainly had to narrowly evade one out there this morning. I got caught in the middle of the Barbados training session, and a ball found its way towards me, but my limbs were limber, as they would say this morning. Well, the final 5 of this innings. Well set, you would have to say, the Leeward Islands. Leeward Islands at this stage in the last game of round number 4. We're 81 for 4 after 15. Got up to 128. Can the Leeward Islands get to something similar?
Well, Joel, one of the things we were saying earlier on is that, Leewards need a bit of a cushion because they tend to give away a lot of runs in the field. We have seen some poor fielding, some lapses in the field, and the bowling, in fact, would have given away quite a bit in terms of extras. Lots of wides. In fact, over 2 overs in the last match in terms of wides.
Well, Shanika Bruce, she opened the bowling from this immediate center end. She's come back with 2 overs left. Her first 2 went for 23. You would have to say probably a little more on the expensive side, especially that second over that she bowled, which included quite a few wides. In fact, that over was probably like a 9-ball over on that occasion. She'll be hoping that she can be a lot tighter here now. Protection all on the leg side for her, except for the 3rd man back on the boundary. And 3rd man comes into play now.
Yes, and Leewards, who has been sent up in the order, no doubt, with instructions to go after the bowling, gets the first run. Coming from the outer portion of the bat and going down to Herbert Mears, who was on the 3rd man boundary.
And that certainly will be signaled a wide, and this is where she had the issues, especially in that second over, in terms of just the ability to bowl a consistent line. And then obviously in T20 you're looking to vary your pace, vary your lines, vary your lengths, but in terms of your accuracy, you certainly want that to be on point, and she's just not gotten that just yet. This time a lot better, but that shot is a fantastic one. And it looks to be brilliant work being done on the boundary, but in fact no, signal for no by the umpire. So overpitched and dealt with by Saxena.
Yes, that's a very good shot indeed, driven straight back past the bowler and down to the long off boundary for 4. So 4 welcome runs for the Leewards, 92 for 4. And they need a bit more of this, a few more boundaries.
On that occasion, it was Cumberbatch doing the hard work. She got around to it from long on, stopped it, but her foot came into contact with the boundary whilst the ball was in her hand. It's just a little unfortunate for her having put in that big effort to get there. Because of the shots back down the ground, though, they've asked mid-off and Shamila Connell to go to long off and cover has come back into the circle now.
So Saxena, who has been there for some time, she's on 28 from 41 deliveries. She's a set batter. Oh, this could be trouble, but the return is not so good. And Leewards is home safely.
At the end of 16, it's a 95 for 4.
So 4 was to go. 95 for 4. And Leewards perhaps might be looking to get another 30 runs or thereabout, which might take them to 125. But one thinks that 125 might not be enough, so perhaps they might be looking to go beyond that.
Well, certainly they should be looking to go beyond that. As I've mentioned before, the theory is always to double down on balls. So 30 balls, 60 runs would be the target for them. 24 left, so you would have to say 48 runs is the target that they would want. Obviously, it's a case of whether or not they get there. But certainly, especially with Divya Saxena set at the crease, Roselle Leewards can give it a whack as well. They'll be hoping that they can get that 40 plus going on towards 48, 50 even in this back end here.
Oh, but Mills continues though.
Yeah, at this stage, maybe 1 or 2 more risk would have to be taken, especially given that the platform is set for them. Wickets in hand. The last game, nothing to lose at all here. And it's just a question of who picks up that mantle, who is the person to go after it. And it looks to be Saxena. Doesn't get all of it though. And there's protection on the boundary in the form of Kaishona Knight.
It's kind of pointless though. You get to 125 with just some 4 or 5 wickets down without trying to take some risk. If you get to 140 with, let's say, 7, 8 wickets down, that's a better position to be in as opposed to having wickets in hand and not getting beyond the 120s.
Going on the leg side on that occasion. Yeah, it's been good going from Tiani Herbert-Mayer. She's picked up 2 so far into what is her final 2 deliveries of her spell. And if she can keep things quiet, they'll relatively be happy with what she's been able to produce.
Yes, this has been a good spell, and she has been getting some good turn too. Probably a bit more than any of the other spinners, probably more than Elliott, who we have seen for Barbados. So she has done a good job for a team.
They're pushing 1 and probably will settle for that. So just 12 runs coming from the 4 overs from Tiani Herbert-Mayer, and more importantly for Barbados, she's picked up 2 wickets. 17 gone, it's a 97 for 4.
That last delivery, the batter got to it on the full, and I think she could have done a lot more with that delivery. She could have probably pulled it into the onside for a boundary, but she played it straight down to square leg for just a single. And this is what I'm saying about the Leeward Islands. Batters, they're not looking to go after the bowling. They're allowing the bowlers to bowl to them. And it's 97 for 4, and with another 3 overs to go, they would be looking, they should be, I should say, looking to swing for the hills, but we have not seen too much signs of that at this point.
Well, 18 deliveries left, and I see the umpires at the moment just tapping on the watch. And the one thing that I do know is that for today there are no allowances in terms of time, and it looks as if they're telling Shakira Selman that she's behind the over rate at the moment. Yeah, because of that, that additional fielder must come into the circle now. And this will help the Leeward Islands in terms of the fact now that it appears as towards the end, Barbados will only be allowed to have 3 fielders outside of the 25-yard circle. We're going to see if that is true or not, because usually it's for that final over. But as I mentioned, no allotment for time here today.
In fact, third man was brought in from off the boundary inside the circle.
And I think it's just because of that time factor. As I said, you know, the umpires came together. I saw them tapping the watch, saw the conversation with Shakira Selman. And it appears as if, yes, it looks as if Barbados will only be allowed to have 3 fielders out until the end of this innings. And that certainly could work in the favor of the Leeward Islands in pursuit of what could be a lot more runs.
Well, one never knows. It might work in favor of Barbados too, because the Leewards, they're not looking to go over the top. And singles would be harder to come by, the rotation of the strike. This one goes down to long on. It's fielded by Cumberbatch.
The point was raised yesterday with regards to the timing limits and the fact that for women's cricket, they're actually getting their overs slightly quicker than the men. And some are wondering, why must that be? An interesting conversation to be had.
Well, shorter run-ups, of course, and some of the teams in this tournament have used quite a number of spinners, Guyana, for example. And this would contribute to that.
Oh, just another single to close out the 18th over. Just 3 runs from it. It's 99, in fact 100 for 4.
Yes, 100 for 4. And no attempt being really made by the Leeward Island batters to go over the top.
You're saying no attempt, but I know that they're trying their best and probably just not getting the connections that they're hoping for at the moment. It's going to be Keela Elliott to finish her last. She's bowled 3 overs, 1 for 22 so far. And just looking at the field once again, just the 3 outside of the 25-yard circle. So yes, indeed, Barbados will have to bowl with 3 inside until the end. Is because of the fact that currently their over rate is behind time. It's also because of the fact that they've been bowling quite a few pacers. Shamelia Connell has been in operation. Shanika Bruce has been in operation. Shakira Selman as well. And I mentioned the fact that in terms of time allotments for women's cricket, the time is a bit tighter and a bit shorter for them in comparison to the men. Well, this one gets over that inner ring. Pulled back inside now by Aliyah Aline. And just 2 for them. And I mentioned though, because of the fact that just 3 can be outside, just that chance for the Leeward Islands to kick on a bit. Protection on the leg side for Keela Elliott at the moment.
One wonders if for Elliott, who's bowling,
she gets it through this time, and that will have the legs to make it into the boundary. So a good start to this over. 6 runs coming from it so far.
I was about to say, Joel, with Elliott bowling right arm with spin, one wonders if it's not more advisable for Selman to go with cover sweeping as opposed to someone on the mid-wicket boundary and on the backward square boundary. The long off I could understand, but I would have thought that they might have opted to go with a sweeper on the cover boundary.
What they've done is reinforce it by bringing someone else over. But they stood on the ring of the offside. They're going to scamper for 2 and should get it quite easily here. So this is the momentum that they want going in to that final over. This is the penultimate over of this innings.
8 runs so far.
Yeah, fantastic start to the over, and certainly have to keep going here, the Leeward Islands. Tries to get it through. A bit of a fumble. And that's going to make its way into the boundary as well. So a very productive over. Just what the doctor ordered for the Leeward Islands.
Yeah, well, there we go again. No protection. No one sweeping on the offside. Elliott, for most part, has been directing the deliveries just on about off stump and outside off. And one would have thought that they would have used the sweeper on the cover boundary as opposed to using someone on the backward square boundary. And now the horses bolted. They have put a fielder back on the boundary.
Yeah, it's probably maybe a case of maybe they want her just to bowl a bit straighter, given the fact that they had that protection on the leg side. Can't make a connection there. Leewards. They're just fractionally short, and because it's turning away, going wide and wider from the right-handed batter. The misfield, though, is what cost Barbados on that occasion. Shanika Bruce, the guilty party. Oh, well, she gets all of that. Oh, my goodness, it's gone to the boundary. So make that 3 fours in the over. 33 have come off of Elliott from her 4. It's 116 for 4.
Good little knock so far from was a Leewards. She has now struck 20 runs from 14 deliveries. So good little cameo here. Building by Leewards, sent in to do a job. And she's been doing it, and doing it successfully.
Doing it successfully indeed. Momentum going in the favor of the Leeward Islands into this final over, which will be bowled by Shamilia Connell. She opened the bowling, had figures of 3 overs and none for 9 so far. She would probably take 9 or less in this over. Can the Leeward Islands, though, capitalise and get something similar to what they were able to get off that Keela Elliott over? 16 runs coming off of it, and quite possibly the most expensive over we've had so far in this inning. So, there's 6 balls left for the Leeward Islands. What can they get up to? 116 for 4 they are. And once again, just 3 fielders allowed to be outside of the 25-yard circle. And they'll start with 1.
Leewards, though, Joel, for second consecutive match, they have managed to go past the 100 mark, and perhaps might be able to notch up 120, and certainly showing signs of improvement in their batting. But the question is, how well can they defend?
And that's out. So Connell strikes, looking for runs, Leewards, and she's caught.
Yes, that's a wonderful catch there. Looks like Alexander, who was diving forward at more or less a short cover and taking it inches from the ground. So wonderful bit of fielding there by Barbados. And Leewards in dismissed for 20 from some 15 deliveries. And certainly Connell coming back and striking for Barbados. She has picked up her first wicket, 1 for 10. She's in the 4th over. She has been miserly, and now she has struck.
Yeah, that's additional pace just doing it there. Rushing Leewards, unable to get it. What we consider that sweet spot of the bat. Hit fairly high up. An easy catch being taken at cover. Well, the skipper, Sanelda Willett, she comes out with just 4 deliveries left to face. Can she maximize on them? 4 sixes, 24. They would love to see that. Could they get 20? Could they get 10? Well, we'll soon find out.
I think it's going to be a bit difficult, though. Connell, as you said a while ago, she is a lot quicker than most of the fast bowlers around here. And she's bowling just back of a length. And getting a bit of a bounce also, which makes it very difficult for these batters to put away. And Guyana.
Scamper one. The chance of a run out had it hit directly. Well, she would have gone back home, but one more to the total. Looking now at that game with the other team standing on 12 points. Guyana, well, the scorecard shows they've been bowled out for 39. Not what they would have wanted. Guyana, especially given that it was a must-win game for them for a possibility, a chance of getting the title.
Probably not waking up as yet. It was an 8 o'clock start. And certainly not the sort of position they would have hoped at this point. 39 against Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago certainly would be favorites to win that game. But Connell is in the middle of a good spell here. Just some 3 runs in the over so far.
Yeah, just one more. And this has been fantastic bowling to close out this final over from Connell. Singles, Barbados would take that. And just 1 to go. Can Sanelda Willett put back to ball and get it over the boundary? And take the Leeward Islands as you see the umpire just ducking for a bit of cover there. The birds have come into play, come into focus to take in this final ball. She gets it. This camper one must come back for the second, certainly. They do.
Oh, she could be run out.
And no, they get home safely. So 2 runs to close it out. 122 on the board for the Leeward Islands. Another day where their batting has done relatively well for them. In fact, 121 for 5 they reach at the end of 20. So that target of 122 is what Barbados will need if they are to be crowned champions in this CWA Women's T20 Blaze. They won the Super 50. Can they do the double here at Warner Park? Well, it's time to take a quick break here. And when we come back, it will be the reply of Barbados. The flags are flying high in the glorious breeze of St. Kitts and Nevis. 122 is what Barbados will need if they are to lift this year's CWA Women's T20 Blaze Trophy. The question is, can they get it done? Or will the Leeward Islands stand in their way? It would be a massive upset if they're able to do it. But cricket is that game of glorious uncertainties. They started well with the bat. Can they start well with the ball?
One ball.
Yes, a good showing from Leewards thus far with the bat. Would they be able to follow it up with the ball? We wait to see. And it's beautiful conditions here in Water Park, St. Kitts. And it would not just be an upset, Joel. It would also be the first points for Leewards if they are able to do so. But standing in their way will be opening batters for the Barbados team. Knight, that would be Kissia Knight, and Aline. Those are the two batters who presently will be looking to hunt down 122 for victory.
Yeah, this pair have done quite well for Barbados at the top of the order, and they'll be hoping that that form continues for them. Yeah, Kaisia, top scored in the match prior to this, got 49 from 49. It's going to be Tonya Martin to get things started for the Leeward Islands. And it's down the leg side. Leg buys open the account for Barbados.
Not the best of starts, I would say, for Leewards. They would want to be putting the ball more on the off stump and looking to threaten the outside edge or something of that nature. But you wouldn't want to err too much on the leg side because there would be the possibility for extras. And there was a leg by, but also it could be wides. And Tonya would want to just get the ball wicket to wicket, really.
Yeah, much better from her. And that's the first runs off the bat now for them. Opens the account for Leah Aline. Aline was the first batter in this T20 Blaze to get a half century a couple rounds ago. Got to just 9 before she fell LBW to Kiana Joseph, though, versus the Windward Islands. And Knight now gets off the mark. It's always a good feeling to add 1 to the column. If you're a batter, I'm not too sure anybody really enjoys walking back for a duck.
Yeah, it also, from experience, many players tend to just drop that nerves after they would have gotten off the mark. It's such a big thing in cricket.
Another wide. Or in fact, sorry, the first wide of this over because that first ball was signaled leg by the umpire. So the first extra to the total for Barbados. And that's certainly one area that the Leeward Islands should be hoping to work on today, that and the fielding effort. If they can just work on the two of those, I think they'll make it a lot more difficult for Barbados here today.
Good shot
Struck
here
well, and that is what I was talking about, a missed field. And it produces the first boundary of the day.
Yes, Barbados getting a good start, trying to hunt down 122 for victory. And a little bit of information, Joel, in the game with Trinidad versus Guyana. Guyana were bowled out for 39. Trinidad not making a good start. They're 2 for 2.
Well, I just wonder what the conditions might be down at St. Paul's. I know we've had some rain. I've been told that rain falls quite heavily down there as well. Maybe in terms of pitch conditions, it could be very difficult down there. So, hey, who knows? 39 could be enough for Guyana.
Probably could be. Doesn't sound like a big score, but just the start that Trinidad gets kind of suggests that there might be conditions that might be coming into play there.
Well, here at Warner Park, perfect conditions. An international venue here The drainage has been fantastic. The pitch has been even better. And over number 1 produces 8 for no loss.
Yes, a good start by Barbados, and we kept harping on the fact that Leewards would really need to bowl well and field well, and we already had a missed field already that went away for 4. They already produced 1 wide, and not the most disciplined of starts. And bowling the second over for Leewards would be Jazar Claxton, who didn't have a good start in the previous game. I think that over went for something like 14 runs in the game against the Trinidad Red Force. So we'll see if she could make amends here today against Barbados.
Yeah, Claxton just bowled 2 overs versus Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas. And those 2 overs cost her 22 runs. So she'll be hoping she can keep things tight to follow up that first over from Martin. It was interesting that in that match versus Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas, they started with a slip and a gully. Here today, starting without. Or being done by Tonya Martin on the boundary, but she can't keep it down from being 2.
It seems a touch too easy for Barbados at this time, though, Joel. Not enough pressure by the Leeward Islands. The batters for Barbados are scoring pretty easily, and when I say easy, they're getting it out of the middle as well.
Well, out of the middle again, but no run for them there.
And I imagine Kissy and Knight will be bursting with confidence, having gotten the sole century in the Super 50, and have been batting well since then.
Oh, and a bit of movement on offer there, beating the bat of Knight, and that is fantastic. That's where she wants to be. A bit of early movement for Claxton here. And this is why I question in terms of the fact that, well, they started with a slip and a gully in a match before this versus Trinidad. Could probably start with a slip here versus Barbados, also because early wickets are key for them. Well, that's not going to help the cause. A no ball signaled, and a 4 as well.
Well, this probably might be the reason why the captain didn't opt to start with attacking fielders, because of the ill discipline of Jazar Claxton bowling such a really good delivery before. Just about the length you wanted, bringing the batter forward and that movement away from the bat, but then the delivery after didn't support the previous delivery, being pretty much a freebie, and a batter the quality of Knight would not be missing out on those.
Well, a free hit here now for Knight, and certainly not someone that you want to be bowling a free hit to. She strikes the ball quite nicely. The field can't change for this delivery. Gets that one, and it bursts through the hands of Saxena. And to add insult to injury, it goes into the boundary.
Again, the ill discipline of the Leeward Islands in the field. It was a no ball. She wouldn't have been out had the catch been taken, but I think they wouldn't have even gotten one. They wouldn't have even gotten one, but that produced 4 runs. And thus far, there have been some 11 runs off this over.
She struck it quite firmly, but you would have to say it was a regulation catch there. And even though she couldn't have been dismissed from that delivery, given that it was a free hit, you still want to take those, because 1, it means that no runs is what it would have been. But 2, the fact that she didn't, you've added 4 more to the total.
And Barbados hustling on to 19 without loss.
A much better follow-up delivery there for Claxton. To end off that over 11 from it, it's 19 without loss.
Wonderful start by Barbados, asking to chase down 122 for victory. In 2 overs, they're 19 without loss and making, I would say, fast progress. And no real threat from the Leewards bowling thus far, and giving Barbados not much to worry about. But they would want to improve and get better in the field. Follow up your batting performance with a little more discipline.
Well, Martin will continue from that Lozak road end. And that's glorious. Textbook stand and deliver stuff there from Aliyah Aline.
Classy, classy, classy. All along the ground, hitting the gap. Brilliant shot. And Barbados looking to make light work of this, it appears, Joel.
Yeah, certainly looking to stamp their dominance here on the Leeward Islands and finish with a commanding win here of Barbados. As I mentioned, if they do win this one, the title, the T20 Blaze title, will be theirs. And dances with that wide line and signal now by the umpire. You just hope that the Leeward Islands don't go too flat, or rather don't get flat early here in this encounter, because we've always seen what wickets can do for you. Ooh. And that's another chance going a begging. And it's another ball that finds its way into the boundary.
Joel, you spoke about wickets, and an opportunity presented itself to the Leeward Islands, and they didn't take it. And 4 more runs to Aline. The areas that the Leewards bowl mightn't be consistent, but they do produce wicket-taking deliveries. And again, they are not that disciplined as they should be in the field, giving up a chance and the boundary. So it continues to be insult to injury. With Saxena, it was a free hit that she should have just taken the catch to prevent any runs, but they got 4.
Yeah, that has been the story across quite a few times in the field for the Leeward Islands, whereby they've put the ball in relatively the right areas, but haven't been backed up in the field. And one just wonders, had they held more of their catches across this tournament, or whether or not that would have put some points on the board for them. I think about that match versus Guyana in the Super 50, and they really had Guyana on the ropes in that game. You know, just a couple indiscretions.
Outside of just taking wickets, when it comes to taking catches, Joel, you also build that confidence in the field. Another opportunity comes, you feel that you could hold on to it. And they are not doing themselves any favors by grasping chances so frequently. Better delivery by Martin, bringing Aline forward, and she treats it with the respect that it deserves, which tells me that she's also playing deliveries on their merit. It's 30 without loss, Barbados from 2.5 overs.
Oh, has a swing at that one outside the off stump. Doesn't make connection. 3 gone. It's 30 without loss.
Knight on 12, Aline on 14, 30 from 3, heavy run rate of 10 per the over. We can suggest that the game with Trinidad and Guyana might be, or what should I say, mellowing out. It's 10 for 2, chasing 39 would be the Trinidad Red Force Divas. And we also could say that in the game with Jamaica and the Windwards, Jamaica making 102 for 6, the Windwards in response 27 for 1.
A change of bowling here from the media center end is going to be Melissa Clark into the attack. Usually used to open the bowling, being asked to bowl first change here now. One driven a bit uppishly. And they get 2.
Come on, ladies.
Barbados just carrying on, not really taking any risk, just playing, in my view, balls on its merit. What has been on offer thus far. And Clark tonight, who is just defending out into extra point, picking up a quick single.
Yeah, flying away at the moment. Barbados taking advantage. Obviously lapses currently by the Leeward Islands. Still though, I do believe that if it can tighten down, and certainly in this last match, as I mentioned, nothing to lose when they were batting, nothing to lose here while they're bowling and fielding either. And that's why especially I would have loved to seen a slip employed, because it's a case of, you know, looking to take those wickets. Fielders backing up the bowling effort as well, giving it their all here. As I do know that there are many who time and time again lock on to the stream to support the Leeward Islands. They've been enjoying the progression of the Leeward Islands, and they would love to see the fight here today versus Barbados. Some probably deem them the strongest team in this competition, or what it would mean if they could hold them here today. Well, clipped away nicely, and that will find its way into the boundary.
Good shot, a ball offline and easily clipped past the short fine leg fielder for 4 by Knight. And margin for error against batters of that quality would be very small. And Clark would want to try and put the ball more in front of Knight. But wicket would be the only way to slow Barbados down at this point.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, you could watch that time and time again. Hit the replay button. Oh, that was beautiful.
Yes, just easing onto the front foot and caressing it past extra cover all along the ground. A touch of class, I would add.
Yes, at this stage, that had there been some older guys in the stands, they would say that was worth the price of admission here at Warner Park, that shot. Change of pace from Clark on that occasion and getting it right in terms of the line and length. Close out 4, it's a 42 without loss.
Barbados hustling on, bustling on to 122 being asked to get by the Leeward Islands, and making really no mistake with bad deliveries thus far, boundarying those as often as they come, and continuing to look good would be Knight and Aline, 23 and 15 respectively.
Yeah, in terms of Barbados, they'll be hoping that they can reach this target without losing a wicket, because that is a statement for them. Yes, it'll be nice to win, but you want to definitely close out the tournament making a statement. I do know that this pair are enjoying their time at the crease, and they would relish the opportunity to carry their bat throughout the innings. Leeward Islands, though, there's still time in this match, still work to be done for Barbados. If they can start to string together a couple top deliveries in terms of just being a little more consistent in terms of hitting some good areas at the moment, slow down the scoring rate for Barbados, capitalize on the chances offered, then I do know that they can make a game of it. A change of bowling here now. Cheyenne Moses to bowl. And she starts where she would love to, keeping things tight, just back of a length.
Stringing a few dot balls together would be the way to go for now, slowing Barbados down and hoping, I would say, to put a little pressure on the opening pair by putting some dot balls, as we say, joining up the dot balls on the batter.
Just one. And they would prefer that, the Leewards, in comparison to the flow of boundaries, the string of boundaries that Barbados have been able to get in quick succession. And I think that's the other part that's hurting them at the moment. The fact that they're consistently finding the boundary as well, Barbados. So at the moment, the game really getting away from the Leeward Islands, and they really have to really attempt to pull it back at the moment.
Wickets, dot balls would be the way to go.
Well, that is swung away. And swung away nicely to the boundary.
Good shot by Knight. A gift on offer, a gift taken. 4 runs in the mid-wicket area. Full toss, really. And Knight just not looking to hit it too hard. Just helped it over the infield and allowed it to run away for 4. Taking the tally for Barbados onto 47 from 4.3 overs.
Yeah, you called it a gift, and it was exactly that. Package with the bow on top and delivered to Kaisia Knight. Still in the power play overs. And behind it nicely, can't get one. The 2 fielders out now for the Leeward Islands. Deep mid-wicket. And a cover sweeping on the boundary. Badly lined and punished once again. So boundaries, they're coming up by the dozen for Barbados.
Yes, and that brings up the 50 for Barbados, 51. It is without loss. And Knight really looking good here. Might be also thinking to herself, maybe I can get myself to a half century. She's on 31 now. It is from some 18 deliveries, really motoring her way at this point.
Yeah, motoring away indeed. This is a fantastic start for Barbados. Looking at that total, probably the best start that we've seen in this entire tournament, this women's T20 Blaze. Finds Tonya Martin. Deep mid-wicket. 5 overs gone. It's a 52 without loss.
Yes, Moses really erring in length as well just now, and Knight latched on to that one powerfully. But there was a fielder in attendance in the mid-wicket area, preventing what would have been another certain boundary. But the Leeward Islands doing themselves no favors with the lengths, the lines, the frequency of bad deliveries that they have been bowling, and Barbados just capitalizing on it. They are 52 without loss, and that brings Earl Smith into the commentary position, and also a change in bowling for the Leeward Islands from the media center end.
Captain comes into the attack, Willett. And 52 going at 10.2 runs for over Barbados. And this match could be over in a very quick time, Noval, at this rate.
Yes, it could be, and there's also some interesting action in St. Paul's. Trinidad and Tobago chasing 40 for victory, 18 for 3 from 18.4 overs.
Well, 18 for 3. And that has been a very interesting match, of course. 39 scored by one of the top of the table teams. Guyana being bundled out, and now TNT struggling.
Well, Barbados are certainly not struggling here, and that was a close one.
Yeah, certainly. It was played up to mid-wicket, and a good throw. It might have been close. It's Edwards was the fielder there, moving to a left. And in the end, the single was safely taken. But rather interesting day so far in terms of what has transpired. Barbados looking to go clear at the top of the table, of course. They're in a very good position to win this one, and we have Guyana, who was top of the table with Barbados struggling down in St. Paul's, and it would take a miracle, even at 18 for 3. It would really take a miracle for Guyana to win that one.
But I say that just yet. Clearly, and here is Aline just getting inside her wicket and just working that one pass shot fine leg for 4. Really good shot. She got inside the line a bit. It was heading down leg really, but she got inside of it and just whipped it past short fine leg for 4. Miracle, you say 18 for 3. They're halfway there in terms of total, but clearly wickets have been falling with a flurry in that game, but also flurry of runs here in Warner Park for Barbados.
Interesting to get a pitch report. This
Really
is a wonderful
good
shot. Played down to backward point by Aline and picks up 4. But a wonderful shot indeed. But I was saying, Noval, it would be interesting to get a pitch report on the pitch down St. Paul's. Interesting to know that pitch is playing, being bundled out for 39 and now 3 wickets falling. Question is who has been taking the wickets down there?
Well, yes, with that we are not sure about, but it would make you wonder if the pitch had the surface had a part to play in the score being what it is.
This is a good shot into the mid-wicket region. Should get at least 2, but they've taken the first one rather slowly. And just a single to Ali, take on to 25, 62 for no score. Yes, and certainly with that low score and then T20 struggling, one wonders. So one never knows, depending on the how the pitch is playing. It might not really need a miracle for Guyana to win, but we'll have to get further than that. Turned into the onside for a single by Kaisi and Knight. But this has been a very good partnership, a very good opening partnership between Knight and Aline, and Barbados really cruising at this point.
Yes, going really at 10 runs per over 10 runs per over, and really not leaving it to chance at all. Barbados saying they're stamping their authority and showing their dominance and class here against the Leewards bowling, knowing full well that Guyana would have had a chance, if they were to have won their encounter against Trinidad. They're saying, hey, we don't leave anything to chance. We're going to just ensure that we do what we have to do and take care of things here. And 63 without loss from 6 overs, chasing 122, putting themselves in really good position to win this one.
Barbados, though, has shown lots of resilience, though. Of course, they would have lost one of their key players, the captain, Haley Matthews. And then they came into the T20 Blaze and lost their first match. But since that, they have won everything that has been put in front of them.
Yes, there was also a very close encounter, I think, in the game
against the Windwards.
And I really think the experience and the Barbados players are really showing, and we could also say that one of the Windward players in Joseph may have buckled on some pressure as well.
I think Barbados won from the last delivery of that match, as Richard bowls the first delivery. She has been brought on from the far end. I think Windward scored 128 for 8, I think. And Barbados got there, losing some 6 wickets of the final delivery of that match. They scored 129, and they got there off the final delivery of that particular match. So they know how to win. That's the important thing. And even from tight situations, they are able to manufacture wins, which is very important in cricket.
Well, in any sport, they say winning is contagious. So you want to continue doing that, you get accustomed to it. And here is Aline punching that one out to the extra cover boundary, picking up two runs.
So 2 more to the score, 64. And I'm pretty certain that Barbados would like to cap off this victory without losing a wicket. So far, so good for them. They're batting well. Punched into the offside by Aline for a single. So 67 for no loss. And this match, certainly in contrast to the other matches, which seems to be a very good one on which to bat. Leewards, of course, got to 120. And this is good from the Leeward Island standpoint. They have been able to, the last couple of matches, able to go past 120. This one is driven up to wide, it's long on for single. But certainly batting improving. They've not been too bad in the field today. We have seen some poor deliveries being put away by Barbados. And they might have Isa Saxena at mid-off. She should have taken the catch there earlier on. And ball was really within her reach. And but they certainly have not looked too bad in the field today. Perhaps not getting as many chances as they would have liked.
Well, I'm not sure I agree totally that they haven't been as bad. The catch with Saxena was a regulation catch off a free hit. The batter would not have been out. It was floored, and they got 4. And then there was another chance of Aline at backward point that was put down, and there was an early misfield. So it hasn't been a real tidy performance by the Leewards, which they seem to not get right in the field, and they want to really just improve in those areas. And the truth is, when you're playing against quality opponents, you want to take every chance that comes your way.
Operative word there, in all our words, not as bad. I'm not suggesting that they have been good. But compared to the last match, when they were really terrible, they're certainly not as bad in the field today as we saw in the last match. But certainly lots of room for improvement in the field, the Leewards. And if they could only get this together, certainly they could pose more problems for the opposing team as Edwards continue from the media center end.
Well, the feeling hasn't been good, but the bowling, the feeling hasn't been horrible, but I think the bowling has been too inconsistent. Too many boundary deliveries been on offer, and again, the quality of the batters at the crease, you could ill afford to do such. And here is one being punched out to extra cover boundary and picking up 2 runs. And the batters for Barbados, I can also say that they seem to continue, no matter the situation, they're playing balls on merit. Sometimes when you are scoring so freely, you can get carried away wanting to just hit boundaries. But as the spin bowling has come on, the Leewards have been able to stem the flow of runs just a bit here, and Barbados are not looking to just score boundaries. They're playing it on the merit thus far.
Yes, but in one area where they have improved to in the last match, we saw quite a number of wides. We have not seen that much today.
Let's go, ladies!
So one of the reasons for saying they're not as bad today in the field, and you know, showing slight signs of improvement, which is good. But down in St. Paul's, it's 20 for 4 after 12.1 overs. So really interesting match building up there in St. Paul's.
Yes, wickets continue to fall, and I'm certain that a few more overs have been bowled because we have used 7 overs here in the second half of the match, and Trinidad would want to will try to press home the advantage on Guyana. They require another 20 runs really, and it's some 12.1 overs that have been bowled there.
But we have a bowling change. Leewards, Roselle Leewards is in the attack. And this one is pushed into the onside. So
He was looking to ring the spin changes really. The last over just going for 3. And maybe thinking that the spin could sort of slow Barbados down.
A bit surprising though. Willett would have come into the attack before Leewards, for example, for one of the spinners. And this, of course, has been one of the shortcomings of the Leeward Islands team, knowing when to make certain changes, when to bring certain bowlers into the attack. They tend to be a bit stereotyped at times. This one is swung down to a long leg for 4. It was badly lined, and on the leg stump, just short of a good length, and swung away there by Kaisi Knight and down to the boundary for 4.
Yes, Knight just really needing to get the ball past the short, the fielder there on the 45, and once the ball would have gotten past her, it was definitely going to be 4 runs. Badly lined delivery, but it was bad both in length and line for me. The spinner started well, Leewards, with the first 2 deliveries, but that one sort of got away from her.
75 for no loss. We saw Barbados being penalized when they bowled, not getting through the overs on time, and the last couple of overs they had to bowl with 3 fielders, being allowed just 3 fielders outside the inner ring. But at this rate, I don't think the Leeward Islands are going to run into that problem today, because I suspect that if Barbados continue in this vein, the match would be long over before the prescribed time.
Yes, and also to note that Knight, who is on 42, I'm certain that she's thinking of another landmark. And the bowler seems quite excited. I don't know if that was a bottom edge. I don't know.
Well, the umpire is calling for someone. It seems as though someone might have sustained some sort of injury there. The umpire is calling for probably the physio. And it might have struck Parker, probably on the helmet. I'm not too certain. Might have taken my eye from the play momentarily. Seems so. And the mandatory concussion check being brought about at this point.
Yeah, it seems like a situation where the ball was chopped into the ground and it came up and struck the helmet. But according to the rules, you know, you go through the really mandatory checks just to make sure that Parker is okay, and she appears that way. And while doing so, the batters are taking an opportunity for a drink. And Aliyah Lean on 30 from 23, and Casey Knight is on 42 from 31. And I was making the point that she might be thinking at this time, you know, just to get herself through to another landmark, which would be potential half century, and continue to rack up the runs and pile the pressure on Leewards. And Barbados been 76 from 8.5 overs.
Yes, another 46 runs needed from 67 deliveries. And of course, there's an opportunity here for both batters to perhaps get to half centuries. This is nicely stayed down towards the third man region. They back for an easy two. And Arlene gets two more, which will take her on to 32. So it's now 78 without loss. And my good friend Joel is in the background smiling. And and he tells us why he's smiling. Trinidad now 22 for 5.
Yes, our wickets continue to tumble there in St. Paul's, and Joel was making the point that he was made aware of the difference in rainfall really in St. Paul's. St. Paul's really is in the northern part of the country, and it's an area that generally gets a lot more rain than here in the very southern part of the country in Basseterre. And just a little history on St. Kitts, Basseterre by meaning is lowland, and St. Paul's, which is in an area called Capistier, which means highlands, higher ground. And we are here in the low-lying areas, and things are a bit low for the Leeward Islands as we speak.
Yeah, that is true. And as a matter of fact, Basseterre, they would tell you that there are many parts of Basseterre which are below sea level.
That is correct. It's one of the few areas in St. Kitts that flood very easily. We do have lots of guts, as we describe them, when there is heavy rainfall. It's not been very heavy. We've gotten some rains over the last few days, but we wouldn't be described that. But here is an appeal, and the dreaded finger is raised to Aline, who was hitting across the line of a delivery that was pretty much just about on center stump. And the Leeward Islands picking up their first wicket here, putting Barbados 80 for 1.
So Edwards strikes, 80 for 1. And just a moral victory there for the bowler for the Leeward Islands, managing to pick up a wicket. And of course, they would not like to go down losing this one and losing it by some 10 wickets. So just a bit of a moral victory there. And of course, they would be hoping that they pick up a few more wickets. And this could only do their morale some good. But the opportunity being taken at this point with just another 3 deliveries left in the over to have a drinks break. But Noval, how do you explain though an area like Old Road, for example, that gets a lot of rain, more or less smack in the middle of Basseterre and St. Paul's?
Well, it has to do a lot with the fact that it's also our rainforest area. Up into the Wingfield forest, it's really heavily forested, and I would have done a hike or two into that area. I really wouldn't have gotten as far as the Dudons Pond, but it's really a heavily forested area. And more information coming to us here about the game in St. Paul's. The Trinidad and Tobago Red Force have slumped now to 22 for 6 in chase of 40. And I repeat that, in chase of 40 for victory against Guyana. 22 it is for 6.
Very interesting.
We are hearing that the conditions look good, and the pitch is also looking good in St. Paul's. But it's another story here in Basseterre. Barbados been asked to get 122 or 80 for 1. But the Trinidad Red Force are chasing 40 for victory at 22 for 6. But we are here in Basseterre, and Barbados steering victory smack in the face, they are 80 for 1. Would Leeward Islands be able to prize out a few more wickets to give them a bigger challenge or create some nerves, Earl?
Yes, certainly. But Kaisia Knight, she's there. She is looking quite calm and settled. She's on 43. So I would dare say that Barbados has this one very much under control at the moment. The Edwards, of course, would like to pick up another wicket or two as she bowls to the new batter, who is Cumberbatch. Jani Cumberbatch, and she gets off the mark immediately.
Oh, no, she doesn't. She steered that one down to backward point, really, and Saxena was the one in attendance to prevent a chance of a run.
Well, 20, 2 for 6, another 18 runs.
Well done.
And certainly Guyana's really
Stay bowling.
taking the edge
Walking
there.
ladies.
It's a game that's very tight down there
Nothing.
in St. Paul's. It's on a knife edge, to be frank and to be fair. But the end of the 10th over here in Bastia, Barbados women are 80 for 1, chasing 122 for victory. And I will make way for Joel Manners in this commentary position.
Yes, of course. We have seen a string of low scores in this tournament so far, which
Let's go, ladies.
does not really augur well for women's cricket in the Caribbean. And Joel, I'm not too sure the organizers, for one reason or the other, would be too happy with some of the low scores we have seen in the tournament. Of course, the female game has evolved over the years. The standard certainly has risen. And, but here's a bit of misfield there by, looks like Clark, allowing a single. But Joel, certainly the game has evolved over the years, the female game. And we are hoping that it will also progress in the Caribbean, where our females get better, but we have seen a string of low scores in this tournament.
Yeah, you think about it that we've seen good performances and we've seen performances that some might want to forget. And it's just a case of having a lot more of those good performances come to the fore for these women, because we certainly do see these signs, especially a lot with the younger players also, in terms of the future looking relatively bright for the West Indies. And it's just a case of that consistency factor at the end of the day. And it's something that we've spoken about across all facets of the game when it comes to the West Indies cricket, both men and women, that consistency factor, because when we look at the talent pool, well, it's certainly there for us. Leewards, she's continuing here now from that Lozak road end. Cumberbatch yet to get off the mark. And Johnny Cumberbatch, it is at the crease right now, was dropped 3 times in that game versus the Windward Islands.
Some clouds certainly have gathered. This one is in the air. She could be on her way. In fact, it's dropped. A bad miss there at mid-off. And
the skipper, like Soneldo Willett. Yes, indeed. And just as soon as I mentioned the fact that she was dropped 3 times versus the Windward Islands, and that probably was the easiest out of all the catches that they were here now versus the Leewards. One that went into the air, had some time to get under it, and could not gather it. Soneldo Willett allows Cumberbatch to get off the mark. Appears as if Johnny might be walking around with what they call the luck of the Irish in this T20 blaze.
Probably a rabbit foot in a pocket. Or 4-leaf clover.
They're doing quite nicely. Probably get 2 if they run hard here. to keep things safe. Just take one to close out over number 11. After 11, it's 83 for 1.
Yeah, so this match certainly has progressed nicely. Of course, we saw what could be termed as a fairly reasonable score by the Leeward Islands getting to 120. So it has not been totally one-sided. At least the Leewards, they were able to post a total as opposed to that match going down in St. Paul's, where one team scored 39 and the other is struggling to get there.
Let's go, man, me and you.
Barbados, of course, were playing very strongly.
Well, the only wicket of the day has gone to Amanda Edwards.
Nothing.
And she continues into now her third over. Quite economical as well. Just 5 runs coming from the 2.1 that she's bowled so far.
But as they've said, Joel, there have been some good performances and performances from in this tournament from players you expect to perform. We saw Shemaine Campbell getting some form and getting some runs. She, in fact, got her half century after she had been struggling in the Super 50 and the earlier part of the T20 Blaze. We also saw Stephanie Taylor getting to 48 in one of the matches. And I think she would have gotten 30 plus in another match. So getting some time out there and making some runs, and good for West Indies cricket, of course. These are players that do play regularly.
The bowling mandate.
But we have seen, as you say, we have seen some promise to White, for example, from Jamaica. She has been a very successful bowler in both facets of the game, not just the Super 50, but also the T20 Blaze. And she has certainly bowled with good pace, bowled well, and she has picked up wickets.
And
but
this time, the catch is taken. So Cumberbatch, as she goes, Edwards picks up another.
Well, Cumberbatch running out of luck that time. This one played straight to Leewards, who is at short mid-wicket. And she just had to wait for it. Ball came straight to her and she took an easy catch.
Yeah, not the best of connections there for Cumberbatch. Got lucky the first time being put down by the skipper. This time, though, the catch being taken by Roselle Leewards. The second wicket goes down for Barbados. It's 85 for 2.
Yes, 85 for 2. Leewards picking up another scalp, picking it up that second wicket rather quickly. Cumberbatch not lasting any time out there. I think she just got just a single. And that single she picked up off a missed chance. So Edwards picking up a second wicket. And we have a new batter going to the crease now.
Let's go, ladies.
It's Trishan Holder that strides out to the crease now. And just to add a bit of drama to proceedings, 29 for 7 now. In Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas playing at St. Paul's in pursuit of 40 runs for victory. Here, though, at Warner Park, a much quieter game in progress. Barbados at the moment looking quite set, but you just never know. Wickets here at regular intervals, 2 going down, 80 for 1, 85 for 2. Can Leeward Islands pick up another one? Bring some life to this contest.
Well, there's another 37 runs to get Barbados. And, as they pick up another one, now 36 runs to get. And Holder gets off the mark immediately. So, still some runs to play with the Leeward Islands. Of course, they're running out of time, but 37 runs, who knows?
Let's push it.
That could happen during that period.
Yeah, sorry, just is a concentrated effort as we see that bowling card there. The 2 wickets going to Amanda Edwards. The others, some being economical, some being a bit wayward. But here, as we head into the back end of this contest, can they concentrate for the next 8 overs? Can they field well? Can they hold their catches? Can they apply a bit of pressure to Barbados? Roselle Liebert taking that catch now and in to bowl her 3rd over. With a new batter at the crease, Trishan Holder. Can they keep her at this end? Starve Kaisia Knight of the strike for a bit.
Of course, this is where the experience of Kaisia Knight comes into play. She should realize she should be fully aware. Oh my
that
goodness!
One gets through everything. Luckily for Holder, it misses his stump. But ooh, that was probably just a whisker away from crashing into the off stump.
So I was saying it's important for Kaisia Knight to remain at the crease and take this home for Barbados. She's an experienced player and she's the set batter out there. She's on 46. And I'm sure she'll be looking to take it home for Barbados and avoid any scares.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't want to lose any more wickets here. Barbados, I talked about the fact that in terms of the performance, they might have wanted to ensure that it was without loss. Certainly getting over the line will do enough for them to lift the title. And that one's down the leg side, and this will be 50 for Kaisia Knight. A fantastic knock from her. Her first 50 in this T20 blaze.
Yes, a very good knock indeed by Kaisia Knight. Delivery, of course, which was badly lined. It was short. It was just outside the leg stump. And the Kaisia Knight just helped it down to the straight fine leg boundary for 4. So once again, the inconsistency of the Leeward Islands bowling. Bowling a few good deliveries and then a bad one.
Tries to get after that one. Doesn't make a connection. And a question was posed to me at the start of the innings by Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas in terms of whether or not they would get over the line. I said very easily yes. But what I can tell you right now is that this score is 29 for 8. And in fact, I see the scoreboard saying 29 for 9.
Well, it seems as though I have to eat my words.
Just one down.
Joel, I told Novel earlier on that it would take a miracle for Guyana to win, but it seems as though the miracle is happening over there in St. Paul's.
Well, miracle in Georgetown, they would call it. A Miracle on 34th Street was a movie. A Miracle in St. Paul's will be a movie as well.
2 more after this.
Would you believe it? Many won't. 92 for 2 though here at Warner Park. Barbados chasing 122 for victory. Need just 30 runs from 42 deliveries. Can Leeward Islands though pick a few more before we get towards the end of this one? That will certainly make them smile. It's really just about ending on a good note. Ticking off a couple boxes, and one of those boxes certainly would be the fielding aspect for Leeward Islands. And I mentioned, can they keep that concentration level up towards the end of this game? Show good fight, show good spirit, and bring a smile to those who are currently supporting them watching on the stream.
Well, they always say, you know, it's not it's not just about losing, but how you lose. If you lose fighting and you lose showing spirit, then that's commendable.
Only one. Back up.
But here's a single down to long on.
The bowling mandate.
Barbados going about their job quite smartly.
Good song off the bat, but good work being done
Back up.
out on the boundary. Just keep it to 1. correction in terms of that score. It's now being readjusted, and it
The bowling mandate.
says
Let's
back
go,
to that
ladies.
wickets column that 8 are down, so it's now 30 for 8. Samara Ramnath at the crease along with Anisa Mohammed, the skipper.
Captain.
Well, Anisa Mohammed has been in good form this season, so still quite some hope there for Trinidad and Tobago. And I think it was against the Windward in the Super 50. I think it was Ramnath who had a good partnership and took Trinidad home in the end when it appeared as though Trinidad was going to lose that match. So still some hope there for Trinidad and Tobago.
Let's go, ladies.
Yeah, certainly hope there, but I do know that both sides will probably be disappointed with what they've done in terms of those scores.
Oh, yes, certainly. You know, anything below 100 in 20 overs is very disappointing. And to get to 39 and then struggle, the other team struggle to get there is very poor indeed and very disappointing. So I don't think there's much that both teams could take from this match.
Let's fight.
The story of that game, Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas need 6 runs from 12 balls here at Warner Park. A different picture being painted with Barbados at 96 for 2, needing 26 in 36.
Well, just from 12 balls, so they have been batting 18 overs for some 34 runs,
Nothing mandate.
which is less than 2 runs per over.
Take your time.
Pretty slow run indeed. Probably they might have batted themselves into a rut.
Over at Connery,
Let's go,
Windward
ladies.
Islands
One
need
last
just
push.
6 runs
Behind the bowler.
from 24 balls. So things on course for victory for the Windward Islands. You never know in that game with Trinidad and Guyana. Here at Warner Park, Barbados with the advantage. But once again, cricket, you just never know what could happen.
The bowling was it.
Yes, certainly.
Let's go, ladies.
But given the history of the Leeward Islands and the history of Barbados in this tournament so far, you would say that Barbados is clearly ahead at this point. Just steal a quick single. Turn, breaks the stump, the appeal goes up. But
Well done,
holds
ladies.
us safely home.
Let's go, was that tight bowling?
Of course, we have had some cloud cover around, but we're in over number 15 now, so that, of course, would constitute more than a match. Pass score at this point, showing some 98 runs. So Barbados up to the pass score.
Let's go, was that tight bowling, tight bowling.
Not too certain if that is correct, but that is what is being put up on the board.
That's it.
Well, going after the runs, I can tell you that skipper Anisa Mohammed was just dismissed.
Let's go, was that tight bowling.
It's now 38 for 9, 2 runs needed from 10 balls at St. Paul's.
38 for 9. It was, yes, 8 wickets a while ago, yes. So would we have a tie?
Oh, that's an interesting one underway at St. Paul's. You certainly couldn't have thought about that being
Was that tight bowling, tight
a
bowling.
possibility
Let's go, ladies.
this morning. The 100 comes up for Barbados with that wide. Tucked around the corner quite nicely. Well, 1 run needed for Trinidad and Tobago Red Force Divas. And just 1 wicket in hand. Here, though, 15 overs have been bowled. It's 100 for 2.
So the scores are tied up at the moment then. 2 runs, in fact. Okay. But it's time for me to take my leave before I go, Joel. It's been a pleasure working with you. We, of course, this is my last stint in this tournament. The tournament, of course, comes to an end today. And just the final round of matches. And I hope, Joel, that you do find time to go over to...
Guyana have won by 1 run. Unbelievable at St. Paul's. Yes, I am watching the stream. It is pandemonium down there. Steffi Sugrim was bowled by Mandy Mangru to give Guyana the victory. That takes them to 16 points in a game that you just never thought would belong to them. Shocking is a word that comes to mind. Unbelievable is another. And the third one is, wow, Guyana just celebrated their independence. And this will probably be a gift for them. Wow. Back here, though, at Warner Park. Things a lot tamer. Things a lot quieter. Things, I guess you could say, a lot more normal.
Yeah, it's a lot more normal here in the park, but why are we surprised though, Joel? It's called cricket, the game of
glorious uncertainties.
So we just wait to see those uncertainties. Don't make too many quick judgments on a cricket game.
Well, that adds a little more excitement here because Barbados must now win.
They must win
in order to be crowned champions, and they will go level on points with Guyana, but based on the head-to-head, given that they defeated Guyana earlier in the tournament, they will be crowned the champions.
That's it.
Yes, well, it's really all in Barbados' hands here. It's just a matter of playing proper cricket, and they could take themselves easily home. But it just shows you that you never know in cricket how it could go. I've been following that game in St. Paul's, and at one point you think that Trinidad should stroll home, but they have fallen short.
Well, can't get back onto that one. Trishan Holder now goes to 5 from 14 deliveries. She's really been trying to accelerate, going for that power, and not really making connections that she's been wanting to. This time able to get a single. A bit of a hesitation in terms of that one there, but no damage done for them.
Yeah, Trinidad just needs to continue batting. Barbados. I guess the Trinidad is stuck in my brain, that situation there in St. Paul's. But we still have a game here in Basseterre, where Barbados are just looking to get themselves to 122. There are another 17 required from some 24 deliveries, and it's really just a matter for Barbados to bat true and bat sensibly, and this one really should be game, set and match in a bit, but you still wonder how did Trinidad not finish that one, Joel?
The thing about it is that no matter how you look at it, right side up, upside down, left to right, or right to left, I don't think that anybody can possibly come up with an explanation, any form of reason as to how that match unfolded in the way that it did. Because I said I was looking at the stream, I wasn't there to actually go and inspect the conditions myself, but looking at it, it looked a good surface, the outfield looked nice, looked good conditions down at St. Paul's, but Guyana were bowled out for 39.
Yeah, and we would have had a situation here in this T20 Blaze where Trinidad had a very low score as well. I think they made 55, was it, in a previous game. So they have shown the propensity to capitulate at times, and this was another such situation.
Well, Tonya Martin comes back into the attack now, and she's tucked away off the pads. Just for one this time. But certainly, after seeing that 39, and everybody would have said, well, you expect that Trinidad, especially given that they have some experience in their side. They've got some good young talent as well. Should get there. And the skipper, Nisa Mohammed, it looks as if she pushed herself down the order to allow the others to go up and bat and do the job. They didn't do the job. She struck a 4, and then in looking to hit the winning runs, was caught, had to go back. Final batter dismissed on the last ball, 38, all out. Like I said, there really can be no expert. I don't think that any of the teams can thoroughly tell you why things ended up that way. They just have to go back and say it was just a day of cricket, to be very honest. I don't think there's anything the coaches can even tell those players at the end of it either, because
things that do happen in cricket, really.
But no!
Well, here to Warner Park is 109 for 2. Barbados at the moment in pursuit of 122. Just needed 13 runs now from 21 deliveries. Going about quite easily. As I would say, milking the process almost of Barbados.
Right, a really set bat. Oh, good work there at backward point. Preventing a possible boundary. And to be honest, I know I'm going to have a pretty fun evening when I get home. As my dad was on that game there in St. Paul's. We're going to have a lot to talk about, because I would really want to hear how that one went. Oh, that's powerfully struck down to backward square by Knight. With some authority, with some dominance. Really set. She moves on to 62. And she's making sure that we don't have a real repeat of any such thing here in Warner Park.
Ensuring that she gets the job done. In terms of the length, it was just a bit short, but the line is really wide. Knight was able to get that one down the leg side. Just needed bat on it and got enough to get it to the boundary. 4 less for them to get now. And subtract 1 more. So 11 needed. 17 overs have been bowled. Is 115 for 2.
That would be 7 needed from another 18 deliveries. Knight is the set batter, and she's really just batting sensibly. You just don't need indiscretions at this time. I think the Leeward Islands, to be fair, they're deflated. And really don't have a lot of hope in this game. But Knight looking good, has looked good from the Super 50. She continues to bat well, continues to bat sensibly. And Trishan Holder, who is there with her, who has looked good as well, would want to try and get as many runs. But in cricket, you really always think to yourself, you're this close home, you want to also have a not out to your name, and that also helps the average in the long run.
Yeah, so that not out factor coming into play for both of them. Just 7 runs needed, 18 deliveries.
Glance off the pad, we are uncertain whether there was bat on it. The umpire would adjudicate, and that's a leg by. Taking the score 1 closer, just 6 needed. And with Trishan Holder be invited to take the long way out.
Come on, let's push it.
Well, just 1 shot will do it now here at Warner Park for Barbados. And she tries to do it. A couple bounces over the boundary. So she thought that might have been it. But just 2 runs now needed for Barbados to be crowned the champions here.
A good shot by Trishan. She took 2 steps into it and just hit with a straight back down to long on for 4. It was a really good cricket shot. I think she was thinking maybe I could get 6 to finish it. But there's still 2 more runs needed.
Well, this could be it here. In fact, she misses it. And if it finds its way to the boundary, that will do it. They come for the second. And the crown is heading to Bridgetown. Barbados, they are crowned the champions of this year's CWA Women's T20 Blaze.
Yes, really done in dominant fashion, Joel. From the time they took the crease this morning, it was really not a question that they were thinking that they'll be playing second fiddle to anyone. The Knight and Aline were very aggressive. They took control of the game. Anything that was bad or offline found its way to the boundary, and they continued to play well throughout this inning. And I think they played well throughout both tournaments. To be fair, they were the better side. They were challenged a couple of times in the T20 Blaze because they went unbeaten in the Super 50. But each time a challenge was posed, I think they fought it off with grand style.
Yes, certainly indeed. Double champions of Barbados, winners of the Super 50, and winners here now of the T20 Blaze, winning by 8 wickets over the Leeward Islands. And all in all, you have to say a fantastic tournament from the ladies from Barbados. 246, the area code of the island. Kaisia Knight, she carries her bat from start to finish. A wonderful knock for her, 63, to take her side to what they call the promised land. Well, that is a wrap on what has been a fantastic T20 tournament being hosted here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbados. They come out on top in both of them. But all in all, you would have to say that we've seen some good cricket, especially here at Warner Park, with the majority, in fact, all the matches except for today, being played here at Warner Park. Good signs in some instances, some good prospects to look at for the future as well. But as the book is being closed on this chapter, congratulations to Barbados, congratulations to Guyana as well, who are sitting on 16 points as well up top of the table. But like I mentioned, due to that head-to-head factor where Barbados would have defeated them earlier, Barbados being crowned the champion. So scores here: Leeward Islands 121 for 5 in 20 overs, Barbados 122 for 2 in 17.3. It's been absolutely fantastic being here in St. Kitts and Nevis for this cricket. Certainly on behalf of all the commentators who've had the pleasure of being here as well and commentating across all the other grounds. It's been wonderful bringing this coverage to you on behalf of the production team as well, all the match officials and Cricket West Indies. We thank you for viewing, and until next time, goodbye and, well, good morning.